You know, we live from young to old, but we only understand it when we look from old to young. So I've really started to question what life really is, because I know that our brain interprets everything for our survival, but it's not necessarily true what we see. And I think with Megalopolis, I began to understand that life itself is not exactly what we think it is.
So you are 85 years old. You won 5 Oscars, 2 Palme d'Or. You're one of the best director ever. But I'm wondering, have you still learned something new in the making of your new movie, Megalopolis? And what did you learn?
Well, you know, the one pleasure, I can't eat too much because I was very fat, as you remember. I can't drink because you get also fat. Most everything that's fun, I'm not allowed to do. So my greatest pleasure is, of course, to learn and music. You can enjoy music. It's not bad for you. You can listen to a lot of music. You can't have too much music. And you can't learn too much. On Megalopolis, I learned some of the things the film says, that when you leap into the future, when you leap into the unknown, you prove you are free. You know, when I was young, there was always the kind of movie you couldn't make. There was a time when you couldn't make musicals, even though, of course, I had seen West Side Story and all these wonderful musicals, but you couldn't make musicals, or you couldn't. I wanted to make a Western at one time, and I was told you couldn't make Westerns. So it seemed to me that there was this strange set of people who decided what you could make or couldn't make, and that didn't coincide with what I wanted to make. So even today, you know, like the movie business has all these rules. We know that they spend hundreds of millions of dollars to make a potato chip that you find habit forming, and they're doing that with movies. They want to tell you, even the critics, that movies have to have this and they have to have that, because they are basically telling you a kind of movie that they can make over and over and over again without risk, like Coca-Cola. But I know that you can't do art without risk. Risk is part of art. Risk is the filmmaker or the artist taking a chance on something that no one thinks will work. It happened in France many times. It happened to Bizet. He made Carmen and they booed it and he died at 50. And now the better example is Jacques Tati, who took all his money and made a flop that was everyone, and lived in poverty, but that was Playtime, which was a masterpiece. So that you can't accept what the so-called experts and critics say. There's only one factor that tells the truth, and that's time. Time will tell. If your movie survives for 50 years and people go see it, then it's achieved some degree of success temporarily.
You mentioned musical. I heard that your next movie would be a musical.
I hope so. I want to, yeah. I know that Megalopolis is done because I'm working on the next one. What is the movie? It's something.
Yeah, it's like an adaptation of Edith Wharton's book, The Glimpses of the Moon, right?
That's from Edith Wharton, who's a great American writer. But yeah, it's a very whimsical, interesting story that I love. I love her. She's a great writer. And I would like to do it in London because it's the only place in my life I didn't live with my wife, and I miss my wife. So I don't want to be where I wake up and say, where is she?
The interview we're doing, it will be broadcasted on social media and stuff, and so people will watch it on a mobile phone. Do you think it's possible to make cinema on mobile phone, for instance?
Sure. I mean, you can make. Of course, you can. You can watch it on your watch, but you can have the most profound experience, which is to see it the way the Greeks saw their theater with an audience, because the beauty of art is that you're sharing an experience with other human beings, and theater, who is our ancestor. You know, cinema came from theater, and Edison, when he invented the cinema, he invented, you look in a little thing that's like a mobile phone, but it was the Lumiere brothers who made it so you see it with an audience, and that is the real cinema was invented in France, and French are the best audiences for movies in the world.
Really?
Oh, without a doubt. The cinema They love to go and see movies. I tell you, I saw Lawrence of Arabia in a big theater, and I will never forget that experience. I don't believe you can, and this idea, this thing they call streaming, that's just home video. It's just another name for home video. That's always existed. During The Godfather, we used to have The Godfather on cassettes. But if you want an experience the way both theater and cinema is meant to be, you should see it in a big theater with at least 600 people, and then that's a thrill. And it's nothing can compare. You can see it on the phone. You can see it at home on your television set with your wife, but it's not the same thing.
And the Cannes press conference for Megalopolis, you said it was a collective piece of art with the whole casting. But you're the writer of the movie, you're the director, the producer, even the producer. So do you think a movie should be made by one single artist, or or can it be a collective form of art?
It is a collective form of art, because cinema and theater is not the same as just sitting in a room and writing a novel or being alone and painting a picture. It is collaboration, and it's thrilling. I've said before that collaboration is the sex of creativity, because when you work with other people and you share ideas back and forth, it's thrilling, and it's what theater is like, and theater is the parent of cinema. There's a lot of people who don't understand really directing. Let me tell you this: when you hear that, oh, that director got that performance out of the actor, that's nonsense. The director doesn't pull the performance out of the actor does the performance. The director is just like a coach that says some helpful things at the right moment, but it's the actor who does the performance. They have the most difficult job, because they are it's one thing to play the saxophone, but you have the saxophone or the cello between you and the audience. The actor is the instrument, and it's very difficult to do that. And I have nothing but admiration. But also, if you look at all the directors in the world, some came from editors, some came from photographers. By far, most of them came from actors. Actors are naturally people who understand the theater and understand the cinema the best. Look at the directors in the silent age. All those directors, Murnau, Pabst, Lubitsch, they were all actors. They were all actors who then made, or Méliès was a magician, but they were performers. And I believe performers become the best directors.
Last question, because many people are young and are watching. Do you have one advice to a young person who's watching you right now and who wants to make movies in the 21st century?
Do what you love. Don't let anyone tell you have to do this. If you love cinema, if you want to do cinema, then the best way, in my opinion, is find other people who feel as you do and do one-act plays live, because you may think that's strange. Why would you do that if you want cinema? Because what you really want is to see the reaction of audiences to your work. And if you do it as a film, it's going to take you 8 months by the time you're finished shooting and getting, and by the time you get the reaction, you've wasted time. So do one-act plays with people who also want to do one-act plays, and learn. The most important thing of cinema is acting and writing. The other stuff you can learn quickly. Acting and writing, that's the hard part. So do one-act plays.